I love boys and I hate them at the same time, and those feelings are not mutually exclusive. I love how when you see a group of boys, they seem to have this like carefree nature. They're like playing with each other, they're laughing at stupid jokes, they're like throwing a ball around or something. Um, and there's just this very carefree, easygoing way they have about existing that I feel excluded from being not a boy. And I also hate them because I am envious that they have that carefree nature because of patriarchy, because of white supremacy, because of it all. And when I picture that in my head, I'm usually picturing cis, straight boys, and that's not something that is necessarily something that I want to feel, but it's just something I feel inherently where I'm like, oh my god, they're just fucking playing catch. Like that's so easy. I feel like I've never had such an easy interaction in my life, but it's because the way that our society works, they are some of the only people where they don't have to deconstruct anything and they don't have to do any internal work to just exist and to just play with their peers. Um, I feel like as being socialized as a woman, it's and as a girl too, it's like you have to pay attention to what everyone is feeling. Is everyone feeling included? Is this, good enough to occupy my attention? Is it productive? And that takes away so many opportunities because it forces your mind to be on this really high intensity like hamster wheel almost, and playing catch feels not stimulating enough because relaxing in that way is not stimulating enough. Obviously this isn't applied to like sports. I'm talking about like throwing a ball, just like hanging out with people. um and I think we should bring that back. First of all, I think we should be inviting our girlfriends over to play a game of badminton or fucking what's the thing men are always doing, spike ball, um to just kick a ball around, shit like that, because I think it's so revolutionary that women could ever be allowed to exist in such a state of carefreeness. And I think this obviously especially applies to people who are queer, people of color, obviously non-cis people. Like, oh my goodness, that would be so relaxing to just be the luxury of being able to turn your brain off to being perceived as weaker, as strange, as gay. Like all of that stuff, it just is so fantastical. And I think the whole point of that is also that it's not really real, that even the men in those positions, sure, like they're carefree in that moment, but it's because they've built a shell around their true selves. And they are, to some extent, worried about being man enough. They're worried about not seeming queer. They're worried about, their athleticism being some sort of like phallic symbol. And I think that exposes how mythical this feeling that I have, and I feel like I've seen reflected in so many social media posts, is that, being a boy is seemingly very easy and very low intensity compared with the tribulations and the trials of being girl, being woman, but at the same time, like, it has its own strictures, and I don't think that they're even close to being, how hard it is to just exist being woman. But I think that those things are worth paying attention to, because at the end of the day it exposes how the gender performance we're wrapped up in constantly is just that. It's a performance. It's not something that's innately within us. It's something we have to continue to keep working at and working at and working at. And it's so subconscious that we don't even really internalize that labor, because at the end of the day, you, me, anyone can put on that performance, and it will be harder if you haven't been socialized that way or if you're not used to it, but it's accessible to everyone. It's just harder work, or it will be more difficult to convince the others around you that this is your performance and that something about you doesn't allow you to be in that role. And I think clothing, the costume is all part of it. Like when you think men's clothing, typically it's like, okay, t-shirt, shorts, and pretty like maybe a little bit form-fitting but pretty loose, and it's literally free flowing. Like I'm wearing a t-shirt right now and I can move, I can lift my hands, I can jump, I can like exercise in this. And the shorts, I don't even have to think about what I'm wearing. Like I forget that it's on my body, but with a lot of my more feminine clothing, I'm like, this is accentuating a shoulder, or it's accentuating my chest, or my stomach is exposed, and I have to be conscious of the way I'm sitting, or I have to be conscious of, the way that my posture is. If you're wearing like a skirt that is shorter, or a dress, you have to cross your legs, keep them together to not expose yourself, but also emphasize your legs and make sure that your legs are shaved and all of this other shit. And there is so much tied up in even getting dressed in the morning. And in this performance of masculinity, there's also like that athleticism aspect of things also assumes that, underneath this t-shirt, there's a body that is able to throw a ball, able to run around, to, commit serious acts of silliness constantly with your friends, like horseplay, is that what it's called? Anyway, and that, assumes that you have the time and the money and the privilege, and that you do have like a nice fit body underneath that loose t-shirt. It assumes what is underneath your clothing, what's in your pants. And the veil between that is a lot thinner for women because of the ways that we have to put our bodies on display in our clothing, but the expectation is just there as much, regardless of what you're wearing. And I think like the body politics of it all is very interesting. And that to say that these aspects that I love or I'm envious about boys are also inherently tied into things that I hate about them. I hate that, they have this bluster that you can't really operate with them on a true emotional level, and you can't form these intimate, true connections with them. And I think that's something that is worth talking about as well, because you can't have one without the other. And in the construction of gender that we have, where it is like A or B, girl or boy, you just can't have one without the other. And I think on decentering men and committing to being myself truly and letting my entire self be happy, I think I need to be able to kind of pick and choose and do so with my mind intact, where I'm saying, okay, like I want to be able to have these moments of like I'm going to have a little bit of fun and I'm going to turn my brain off for a little bit, but at the same time, I'm not going to engage in bullying behaviors. I'm not going to engage in the pressure to be athletic and to be the best at throwing a ball or kicking a ball or that kind of thing. And I think that we can learn, like with our dialogues in ourselves and existing in a more authentic way, just inherently ties into deconstructing gender, not only just decentering men, but also decentering gender and seeing it in a clear lens of, yeah, I like some aspects of this performance, but since it comes with, these other parts, I'm going to be conscious of that and I'm going to keep myself honest. So yeah, I think we should all be a little bit more boy, but also, stay woke. But yeah,